Alrighty, if you all can just bear with me for one moment, for those of you who are watching, I'm just trying to get the rest of the panelists on. So just bear with me. Hi.
Hey.
Okay, so one down, three to go. Okay, so while we're waiting for the other three ladies to join us, my name is Jaquise Dean, and I am the founder of SASU, which stands for Sexual Assault Survivors Standing Up. And I want to welcome all of you to our Google Hangout discussion entitled Coping with Depression. So tonight, we are going to be sharing our stories and how we've overcome depression. We're also going to be giving some tips on how you can uh, get the help that you need and learn how to cope with depression. This is something that everybody deals with at some point in their lives. And I just wanted to create a space for all of us to come together and to know that you are not alone, because a lot of times we think that we're the only ones that's going through something, and that is so far from reality. Michael, we'll get started with you. Do you want to start and share your story with us?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to test my microphone, so I just wanted to check. Um, so for me, um, my issues with depression really started after I started college. I really hadn't had too many struggles with it before. Maybe some seasonal depression, but not anything that I actually like to notice of. But by about sophomore year of college, I just found myself um, lacking motivation. I didn't want to get out of the bed. I didn't want to go to class. I felt like everything was pointless. Um, this might have come from somewhat, I had a really bad breakup right before that year. And, back then it was just, I was really attached to that person. And that might have been what started it. Some things were said that were very, very hurtful and that were internalized. And even though this person later said, hey, I didn't mean any of that stuff. I said it because I was hurt, whatever. It's really hard to get over those things. Um, that combined with working and being captain of a dance team and trying to, get straight A's like I had always done before, it just kind of all became a big struggle for me. So uh, my issues with depression just have gone on for the past probably, I'll say, 4 years. That was like 2010 that I guess it started, so all the way up until now. My grades were so severely affected. I mean, I had always been like all A's, maybe a B here and there, that's all. It got to the point where I was constantly withdrawing from school, getting F's, getting D's. I would miss like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of class because it was like I couldn't go. I couldn't get up. The only thing that I could make myself do was maybe go to work, and that's only because in the back of my head I was like, well, I don't want to be homeless, so I guess I'll go to work. That was pretty much as far as trying to get myself to go to class, get myself to go hang out with friends. It was just I didn't want to do anything. Maybe be here and there. That's all. It got to the point where
Hold on one second, Michael.
I was constantly
Khadijah,
getting
Yes.
F's, getting D's. I would just
Khadijah, stop your feed. Whatever that is, I need you to turn it off.
I couldn't get up. The only thing that I
Whatever's playing, I need you to turn it
maybe
off.
go to work, and that's only because in the back of my head I was like, well, I don't want to be homeless. So I guess
okay, hold on.
that was pretty much like.
Alrighty. Okay. Go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
That's fine. So my family and my teachers, my friends were all so confused because they're all like, okay, you're one of the smartest people I know. Why do you have F's? Why are you failing? Why don't you go to class? Like, what is happening? And I think one of the most hurtful things for me was when I tried to talk to my parents about what was going on. And I was like, hey, guys, I really think I'm depressed. And I think it's hard for a lot of parents to believe that their child is depressed because they think, oh, you're just going through a phase,
Is that
um,
better?
you're okay, etc. So I think that um, that was really hurtful when I finally got the courage to tell them I'm depressed, and they were like, no, you're not, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I really clammed up after that. I would not talk to them about what was wrong with me, like ever again after that, which made it even harder to explain why I was getting such bad grades and why I was withdrawing and why it took me 6 years to graduate. Because I couldn't say, well, guys, I'm not doing well because I'm depressed and because I'm unhappy. Most days I can't get out of bed. Because I'll lay in the bed until I literally have hunger pains because I don't want to get up and do anything.
Wow.
I would just, I don't want to. Like, even with eating, it was like, I love food, don't get me wrong. And I don't ever feel like I had an eating disorder, but I would lay in the bed and just be like, I really just don't want, like, even getting up and going to the kitchen to fix breakfast was like insurmountable. I can't. Like, until I was physically uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, now I have to.
Wow.
But,
go ahead.
I was going to say, on the upside of all of that, last year, I feel like my kind of coming back from depression started last year. And it took a really long time with lots of lapses. But I started working out last year. I lost like 30 pounds. And that
I saw that
thing, but I did.
Yeah.
It was just kind of something that like pushed me to achieve something. Because I think when you're depressed, you feel like you can't really do anything. And to try is kind of pointless. You're like, I'm not going to be able to do it anyway, so why bother? So that really, really helped to kind of get the ball rolling. School was still kind of a struggle, whatever, but I got into a healthier mindset, like doing yoga, and working out all the time, and just starting to feel a little bit more positive. And then this year, I think the biggest thing, having really supportive people. My boyfriend is really, really supportive. He doesn't understand completely what it's like to be depressed like that, or to have like ADD or anything like that. He doesn't really get it, but he knows he doesn't get it, and he's just like, "What can I do to help you?"
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't. My best friend who lives with me has issues with depression and bipolar disorder, and so she gets it. You know, we relate a lot. I have quite a few friends that have issues with that, so having them around me was the best thing. And then finally actually going and getting like therapy and being put on a medication was like the best thing I ever could have done. And I was so afraid to do that before. It's like, I'm not gonna go on medication. I can't. I don't want it to mess with me. I don't want it to mess me. No, I finally did, and now I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it's like to be normal and not feel depressed anymore. Awesome. So yeah, so that's like the journey of the past 4 years, and to the point now that I can say I'm the happiest I've been in a really, really long time.
That's awesome. No, that's really awesome. And what's really awesome about your story is that you made the decision to go and to get the therapy that you needed and to get the medication that you needed, because a lot of people, when you start to talk about depression or any type of mental illness, people get really they get really nervous about that, and they get really scared, and it's like, oh, medication, no. They automatically associate a mental illness with being like crazy, and it doesn't mean that at all. So, I mean, that's awesome, Michael. Like, that's really awesome that you just took initiative towards like your future and living your life the way that you should, because most people, they don't. They get scared, and then, or they're too lazy. That's just the bottom line. They're too lazy, and they decide to be stagnant, and they don't take the time to care for themselves. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, Renisha, can you hear me? Let me take you off mute. Okay, Renisha. Can you hear me? Take yourself off mute. You got that feedback, girl.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Your feedback is really bad, though.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it picks up sound a lot.
I'm literally at home and there's nothing like on. The TV's on mute. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Okay, while you do that, I'll go with Khadijah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Khadijah. Khadijah. Renisha.
She's on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, do you want to go ahead? Okay, now I have a little story. So when I first started SASU, one of the members at my old church introduced me to Khadijah. And Khadijah shared her story with me, and I told her last week when I asked her if she would be a part of this discussion, I said, every time I go and I speak, I remember your story. I remember you, and I think of you whenever I speak. She was the first person, Khadijah, you were the first person that really, really shared their story with me. You were very transparent, and it really made me feel, not only did it give me what I needed to move forward with opening my organization, but it just gave me what I needed to tell my story without shame, without fear of judgment. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, so for me, depression started as early as 15. I was 15, teen mom, and just struggling with the fact of, being judged as a teenage mom. Not sure how I was going to do it. Didn't want to be with the father. I had plenty of help from my parents, had a great support group. However, just down, just depressed. And a lot of it was afterwards, after I had my son, Derek, who's now 18. It was postpartum, and I didn't know at the time. And so I went and I talked to my doctor, and she suggested that I go speak with a therapist. And after speaking with her, I learned that not only was I suffering from depression at that time, but I was also suffering from anxiety as well. And yeah, so I was the one that was afraid to take medications. And I didn't, I'm like, no, it's going to make me crazy. And, I don't want it to change me. I don't want to have to be dependent on it. And so I went and I talked to my pastor at the time, and I told him what was going on. And I knew in my heart that not only was I afraid to take meds, but I knew in my heart that I don't think that it was meant for me to take meds. I believe my depression and anxiety was associated with the calling upon my life. And so I went and I talked to him. We prayed, and I talked to my therapist, and we decided to go with a more natural approach and do talk therapy, which was a blessing. It was a blessing, and that it really helped a lot. And I was able to deal with and cope with having depression and being severely depressed and having anxiety. And so after talking with my therapist on a regular basis, I got much better. And then, of course, after that, I went downhill, and I'm like, okay, what is it? And so it was just a battle between just depression and anxiety. So I did decide, okay, maybe it's a chemical imbalance. Maybe it's not so much just spiritual. Maybe it is a chemical imbalance that I'm dealing with. And yeah, it was. So I started taking really, really low dosages of meds for anxiety, which of course helped the depression as well. And so it's been amazing how for me, um, I knew going into depression that, it's not about me. Like, again, it was spiritual for me. It was attached to the calling that was upon my life. And now I see how the Lord have me working with teen moms that are dealing with depression. I have friends that are going through depression and anxiety, and it's been just such an amazing experience that what the enemy meant for bad, the Lord turned it around, and it's truly working for my good. So I've dealt with depression for many years, and again, I was one that chose to do talk therapy. Some people really need medication consistently, but for me, I took a more natural approach for depression, and it was just an amazing to see how the Lord has really just been good with talk therapy and having quiet time and just monitoring stress, and that's what's been helping me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, our story as it relates to taking a different route, going to talk therapy, that was my approach. But I'll go into detail about my story later on. Valerie?
Hey,
Hi.
can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so I have a story about Valerie. Valerie actually put up a status on her Facebook page last week. Valerie, you want to tell everybody what your status said?
It was kind of long-winded, but it basically said, like the standard Alcoholics Anonymous, hi, I'm Valerie, and I live with depression. And I just basically let people know that it's an illness, it's not a feeling or a mood. And it's something that people need to talk about. And I know that the holidays are really rough on those of us that live with depression. I don't like to say suffer or cope because it's like it's like a death wish or something, but it's not. But for those of us that live with depression, I just know it gets hard around the holidays. So God just put it on my heart that it was time to really to be more transparent, kind of to get from behind the veil and to share my story in hopes that someone else would maybe be healed. And it was awesome because what happened after it is I got invited to do this hangout, which was awesome. It was like right on time. And then people that I went to high school with that, you have like 1,000 friends on Facebook. They're like from high schools and stuff, and you guys talk, but you really don't interact like that.
Mm-hmm.
But those were the people who were like sending me messages, personal messages, and were like, thank you so much for saying that. And I've suffered silently, and I just felt like, God, we're all kind of going through this, and we're just like all suffering in silence. And just think how sad that is. Like if you had cancer or lupus or any other sickle cell, any other illness, would you really just sit there and just suffer in silence and like it's just gonna get better? I'll be okay. I just have to change my way of thinking and I'll be all right. It's the whole mental illness in our community. It's really the stigma. It really sucks. So my story is kind of based in mental illness. It runs in my family. I was raised by my step-grandmother, who is my grandmother. If you ask me, I'd say she's my grandmother. But my real grandmother, before I was even born, was like admitted into a psychiatric hospital at a very young age. This is my mom's mom. She had a nervous breakdown, and she never quite came back from it. And I just remember like being young and being a kid, from being like growing up with my mom and my grandparents, and just remember being very emotional as a kid. Like not bad or ill-tempered, because I was actually a really good kid, but I was emotional. Like if my mom cried, I cried. If my auntie cried, I cried. It was always like I wanted to be there to help everyone who was going through something, And even as a little girl, like I'm 6, and I'm like, just tell me about it. I always wanted to be like that voice of reason. And I would go through these periods as a kid where I just wanted to be completely alone. Like I would shut myself off in a room, just quiet. I didn't want to be bothered. I just wanted to read. I wanted to listen to music, and I didn't want to talk to friends. Like I'm 13 years old. Like I just need a week off, you know, like, and I didn't know why. What was wrong with me? Why was I different from other kids? Why didn't I want to be around my friends? Why didn't I want to be out having fun? Like, what's the matter? And I kind of continue to ask myself that question my entire life. Like I'm like super old, like I'm 50, but just my entire life. And it wasn't until like I turned 30 years old, so after my 30th birthday actually, that I thought, Valerie, you have maybe a mental problem and you probably need to get some help. That was 3 years ago. I had just turned 30. I lost 65 pounds. I was feeling like the bomb, and I had just got promoted at work. I was working for communications and public relations. Like I'm writing papers and going to the Jimmy Fallon show, like doing all this great stuff without a degree, from the South Side of Chicago, a black girl, you know. So basically, like, I'm in a good place. And a change in management happened at the job, and things just kind of completely fell apart. And the culture became very fear-driven and very intimidation-based. And I remember the day that I knew I had to get help was that I walked away from my desk, I went in a bathroom in a stall, and I got on my knees, and I broke down, and I cried. And I asked God to remove me from that situation. And not just remove me. I told him, like, if you have to kill me, just take me out of it. Like, I just want to be done. I don't want to be here anymore. I would wake up every morning. I would be nervous. I feel like I had to vomit, like just the place. Like the job itself I loved. I was lecturing to students. I'm going to colleges, traveling all over the world. You know, the job itself I couldn't get enough of. I would tell myself, you're there for the kids. You're there for the college students. Like you're making a difference in education. But all the time on the backside of it, not only am I hating my job, my boss hates it, and my girl that sits next to me hate it. So I have my own burdens, and then I also carry theirs.
Yeah.
And one day I said, you know what, I got to get help. After I broke down, I Googled like my symptoms, because I Google everything. So I was like, okay, I'm going to die. Everything I'm like, is obviously I'm going to die. I have cancer. So I Googled everything, and something said ADHD. So I said, okay, well, maybe that's what it is. So I went to a therapist. I go to a therapist. This guy talks to me for 20 minutes, doesn't even look in my face, tells me that I am depressed, prescribes me like $100 antidepressant pill. I refused to take it. That's not what I went for. I went to talk. I went to find out what the hell is wrong with me, not for you to tell me I'm depressed and then pump me. So I go and I get a second opinion, and I finally talked to a woman. And to be honest, I did the legwork. I wanted to talk to an African-American woman. I wanted to be taken seriously. I feel like when we as black women go to these offices, they don't take us seriously with any of our ailments. And I wanted someone to look at me and say, okay, this is what's up, sister. And sure enough, that's what she did. And she diagnosed me with mild depression and anxiety. I've been blessed that I have moments. Mine comes in spells. So I'll be straight for 6 months, like on top of the world. 6 months, working out at the gym, feeling good, eating right, you know, thinking I'm cute. And then 6.5, I'm like, I hate everything. You know, my life is just in shambles. And I'm like, what the hell? What's wrong with me? Why do I have to do that? So I figured maybe I do need to take pills. I went in with the assumption that maybe it is time for me to take pills. And she pushed back, and she told me that I needed behavioral therapy, that my issues were because I was seeking validation from people who absolutely didn't love me and, you know, didn't serve me any purpose. And she told me that I needed to get inside a gym. I need to do yoga. And she also told me that, you know, I understand that you're a Christian, but have you ever thought about just looking into Buddhism for the point of meditation and understanding what it means to get close to God and self-love? And so that's what it became about. I started reading. I'm a nerd. Like, I'm seriously a nerd. So I went to the library. I pulled every book, self-love, self-hate, self-worth, self-doubt, self-whatever. Pulled it, research. And I found out about a book called The Four Agreements. And literally, I never thought that I would say this cliche remark, but a book changed my life. Because living by the Four Agreements, just these really simple concepts of life, it will have you just walking away from everything like that absolutely has nothing to do with me. If I continue forward, that doesn't have it basically allows you to say, screw my past, screw whoever's in my present that doesn't serve me, and screw whoever I meet in the future that doesn't serve me. As long as I continue to serve me and I continue to serve God, then I'll be okay. And honestly, with that and with the help of a health coach, because I have a health coach who is someone that I really talk to and I kind of use as a counselor, with that book, with the help of a health coach, and with journaling, because I write every single solitary day, my life has been so much better. And I can say it's weird, but I almost feel like, well, it's definitely the truth. Since I've been diagnosed with depression, I love myself more than I've ever loved myself before. And you know, it because it forced me to love myself. I couldn't act like I was loving myself. I had to either love myself or the result could have been something completely different, you know, kill myself, unfortunately. So I decided to love myself, and it's been a great love affair. I haven't really had any issues or flare-ups, but I have someone that I can talk to. And my doctor doesn't feel like I need any meds, but we're going to keep talking about it and just take every new month, and decide what we do. If I feel that I would be better kind of regulated on meds, or if I feel like my focus would be better, then that's the conversation I'll have. I'm just not scared anymore. You know, it's like the veil is gone. I'm open to have the conversation, whatever it is. Like, let's just fix it. You know, it's like a broken arm or a broken leg. Let's just fix it. And that's the attitude that we have to have in the community about mental health. Let's just fix it. Like, let's not act like it's not there. Like, let's recognize it, become aware, and let's fix it. And that's why I decided to do this with you guys.
And you know what? That's when it relates to anything. As it relates to depression, as it relates to you walking away from a job and stepping into what you really love to do. It's like, just make the decision and move forward from there. So I have a question, Valerie. How are you feeling right now? Like, how do you feel today?
Today I'm okay, but the worst time for me, probably for all of us, I would think, is when that cycle is about to start. Okay. So my cycle is about to start this week, so it's not even really fair to ask how I am this week. This week, I'm in a mood. I'm feeling some type of way this week. But, you know, I definitely won't feel that way next week. And I can say that the week prior to that, I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling great. I'm just at the point now where I'm just ready to inspire people, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely inspired me. So
thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. Renisha?
Can you see me and hear me?
Yeah.
I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. Whatever works.
I hope that works. I was gonna try it with my headphones, but I'm not gonna ruin the good thing that's happening right now, which is I'm connected and I'm here, and yay. So what I'm to talk about my story, right? Everyone told their story. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Mine started. My depression story started probably my almost sophomore year in college, and I was just kind of similar to I forget her name, and now the thing won't show me your name. But you went first with the really pretty lipstick, right?
Michael.
Okay. So not going to class, feeling really sad. Didn't really know why. Wasn't really sure what was going on. Was starting to fail class because I wasn't going. And just really had this weight on me, and I didn't know what it was. Couldn't shake it off. I was very into religion and Jesus and God and church, I grew up a preacher's kid, so I knew that life. But praying was hard, was getting harder. Going to church was getting harder. Reading scripture was getting harder. So excuse me, I'm just getting over strep as well. So if my voice is kind of going in and out, it's because I'm on antibiotics right now. My voice is like weird. But anyway, so just anyway, it was getting more and more difficult to live life and just to want to be around, and I didn't know what was going on. And one night, I was on the phone with a friend, and she was asking me kind of like, do you mind if I just ask you some questions and we just kind of determine if you're depressed? She was a marriage and family therapist, and the word depressed and depression had been thrown around a little bit, but not a lot, and I was like in denial, like, I'm fine, and I would have days where I was fine and days where I wasn't. So she just said, got on the phone with me one night, and she was just like, she just asked me a bunch of questions, to which most of them I said yes. And she's like, Renisha, I really think if you're depressed and I really think you need some help, would you want to go see somebody? Do you want to at least talk to me about what you're feeling? And, I denied everything. I just said, no, I'm not. I'm fine. I just need, to be happy, and I just need to pray. And I kind of yo-yoed back and forth between really being depressed and not being depressed. I was in denial for a really long time. One night, again, I was on the phone with this same friend, and I was holding this bottle of pills, and I was just like, I just don't want to be here anymore. What's the point? I'm failing class. My family back in Chicago doesn't really support me as much. I'm out here all by myself. I have days where I'm happy, days where I'm sad. You know what? Why don't we just forget this whole thing and just, just end it? I just don't want to be here anymore. I didn't end up taking those pills that night, but I was on the verge of trying to end my life, and she ended up calling the police, and the police came over to my house, and it scared the hell out of me because I didn't know that she was going to do that, number one. Number two, I thought I had done something wrong, but they just said a friend of yours was very concerned, and she thought that maybe you had something here that you could use to harm yourself, and we just want to be sure you're okay. And that was my wake-up call. That was the, Renisha, you need to go and get some help, and you need to just figure out what this is and see if something can be done. So I ended I was okay. I got put on some medication. I was diagnosed with clinical depression. I was put on medication. And again, I yo-yoed back and forth for a couple.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. We lost Renisha. Okay. Well, that happens during these hangouts, so she'll call back. We'll get her back. So while we're waiting for her to come back on, I'm just going to go ahead and share my story with you all. So the thing that sticks out most when it comes to my story surrounding depression. Oh, Renisha, you're back on.
I'm here.
Okay. I was about to start sharing my story, but I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish yours, and then I'll go to mine.
Okay, so where was I? I don't even remember where I ended. Oh, I kind of yo-yoed back and forth. Didn't need medicine. I'll pray I'll be fine. Then I would go and take the medicine, and then I would feel different. Then I wouldn't want to feel different, so I'd get off the medicine. But I went back and forth for a while, and then for a really, really long time, probably about 5 years, I felt fine, and I kind of like got over it, and I was okay. But then this last 2 years that I've been back here in Chicago, it kind of spiraled and went downhill again. And downhill just meaning I again started feeling that sadness. Don't really know why I'm upset, crying on at the drop of a hat. Just very lethargic, not wanting to go to work, all this other stuff. So finally I said, it had been dormant for a while, and I wasn't facing it for a while, but now I really need to face this thing and figure this out again. So again, started going to therapy, got on some medicine again, and I'm on the medicine and going to therapy now, and I feel better. But one of the things that has really kind of kept me, and I think during that kind of 5-year stint when I wasn't feeling anything, I was really high into fitness and running. And running was one of the things that my therapist and I back in college said, this is what you can use this, method to kind of cope with what's going on and to relieve stress, because stress was one of the things that was making me, depressed or whatever. So I run like a jackrabbit. I run all the time, almost every day. I love fitness. I love working out. I'm a trainer as well, so I love training people to work out. It's just one of the things that has brought me joy and has brought others joy, and you just feel better when you work out and when you're taking care of your body. So that was one of the things that that is a part of my story. It's a huge part of my story, and that's pretty much it. So I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. I still get there's triggers and there's moments where again, I just feel helpless and hopeless. I had a little run-in earlier this year, in late August, where I was in the hospital, but I'm okay. I'm doing okay, and I'm maintaining, and yeah, that's it.
I appreciate your transparency. I think that it's amazing because looking at all of you, you wouldn't expect it. You just wouldn't expect it. So I just think, and another thing that I feel like we all kind of have in common is that we exercise. So, like fitness, it really does, it lifts your spirits. It makes you feel better. If you're feeling down, if you go to the gym, if you work out, like, when I leave the gym, I feel amazing. I feel like I can conquer the world. I really, really feel good about myself. So, I mean, if anybody can take away a nugget, it would be that. Like, if you're feeling discouraged or if you're feeling down about life, definitely hit the gym. Hit the gym. Call somebody that you trust and talk about it. This is a conversation, as Valerie stated, this is a conversation that has to be had. People are literally losing their lives because they don't want to talk about this, for fear of judgment. And then we have to change how we receive people when they come to us and tell us that, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And I don't feel so good today. I don't feel like being here. I don't feel like being on this earth. That's how I feel right now. People need to be able to come to somebody and say that without, oh, girl, you crazy. Oh, girl, because I've had that a lot. People judge me because I'm going through something, or I feel like I always have to put on this face like I'm perfect. And now, because I'm older, I'm understanding that people are either going to accept you or they're not. So you can't spend your time worrying about what somebody's going to think about you, what somebody's going to say about you. You have to get the healing that you need. You have to go where the love is, and you have to be around people that are going to uplift you, and they're going to be real with you. And if I can't be real with you and tell you what I'm going through, then, I mean, like you said, Valerie, like, you don't need to be in my space. We can't rock in the same space. If I can't come to you and share the real deal, no, we're not going to be cool. We're not going to be friends. I just can't do it at this stage of my life, because evolving is something that's really important to me, and surrounding myself with people who are going to be beneficial to me mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So if we can't have that conversation, and I mean all the time, and sometimes it's like, oh, we bring it up, we wait until it gets really, really, really bad, and then that's when we want to have the conversation with our friends, like, oh, girl, you slipping, you falling, what's going on? But it's like, no, you've seen this all along, and you've just chosen not to talk about it, and we just have to have the conversation. So thank you, Renisha, for sharing with me and with us. Renisha, can you hear me?
No problem.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
I just want to like briefly share my story. I'm trying to put myself on the main screen. Can you all see me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So growing up, I was just always sad. Like I remember my childhood, and I was involved in a lot because my mom, she kept us really, really busy. My mom was a single parent, and she kept us really, really busy. But I was just always sad. I cried a lot. I would go in my room and I would just cry. Like you said, Manisha, you cried at the drop of a hat. Like I would literally just cry. Um, and it's weird because like I'm an introvert, but I'm not, if that makes any sense. So it's like I like people, but I don't really like people, if that makes any sense at all. So like I was just really, I stayed to myself a lot, especially like in grammar school, high school. I was bullied a lot. Um, and I just felt like no one liked me. So it really altered my kind of what I thought about myself. Like I felt like I wasn't worthy. I felt like no one wanted to be my friend. Like this is how I grew up. So fast forward on into like my adult years, what really brought depression on was when I was raped. And I was raped on the south side of Chicago by a stranger. And my boyfriend was with me when it happened. Um, so that was what really kind of started the depression because after my rape, I pretty much, I really didn't, I just I kind of like put it in the back of my mind. Like I knew it happened. Of course it happened, but I really didn't want to face the music. I was trying to act like, everything was okay because I really wanted to keep my boyfriend. I didn't want him to break up with me. So I was trying to pretend like, oh, I'm perfect. I'm fine. Everything is good when everything wasn't fine. And eventually it was just like a downward spiral. I would call him and I just felt like he wasn't supportive, and I felt like my family didn't really understand. I felt like any moment they were just waiting for me to break, like, oh, she says she's okay, but I don't think she's really okay. So I just feel like they was just waiting for me to just crack at any moment. So one night I called my ex-boyfriend. He was at work, but I just really needed to talk. And he like hung up the phone in my face or something. So I took some Benadryl. I had been taking Benadryl to sleep because I had trouble sleeping at night. So I took some Benadryl to sleep, and I just felt like that wasn't enough. So I took some more, and I felt like that wasn't enough. So I just kept taking it, kept taking it, kept taking it. And next thing you know, my heart's beating really fast, and something said go, because at the time I was living with my mom. Something said go and wake up your mom, like go tell her, go wake her up. So I went in her room and immediately she jumped up and she was like, what's wrong? And I said, I need you to pray. And I was high out of my mind off of Benadryl. And I was like, I need you to pray. She was like, what did you do? She just knew, like she could see it all over me that something wasn't right. And I overdosed on Benadryl. And that was like the beginning. Well, I had already been experiencing depression, but that was like the beginning and the end for me. Um, After that, I sought out counseling, and I went for about a year. And even till this day, like I have moments where, I don't have good days. There are some days where it's not good. There are some days I'm like, okay, what's my purpose? What am I really doing here? And I just have to keep reminding myself, Jay, you came through this. Like, this is a breeze from what you have went through previously. And to be able to share my story with so many different women, and for them to be inspired and to give them hope, and they know, they can move forward because I've come through. And if you look at me, you wouldn't even know that I'm a survivor of sexual assault. You wouldn't even know that, I wanted to commit suicide, that I overdosed on pills, and I just had no desire to be on this earth. But I used my story to help other people heal. That's something that I'm so dedicated to doing because I realize that people feel so alone They feel so alone, and they don't know who they can trust. They don't know who they can talk to. There have been many times where people have taken advantage of the fact that I am a survivor of sexual assault. Men have come into my life, prominent men who pretend to want to help me move forward with my organization, pastors, ministers, and they ultimately end up taking advantage, or they try to take advantage of me. So, I mean, it's been a journey. It really has been a journey for me, especially with starting SASU and just really wanting to reach out to people and make a difference. There have been many obstacles. There have been many times where I've wanted to give up. There have been many times where I thought, okay, am I really reaching people? You know, am I really making a difference? Um, and I know that I am. I know that I am. I've seen so many women. They've told me, they've texted me, called me, emailed me, and said, Jay, this is what happened. And because you shared your story with me, I feel like I can make it. I feel like I can get through it another day. I feel like I can get the help that I need, get the counseling that I need. Because initially, I wasn't even going to go to counseling. Initially, I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to ride this thing out. I'm a soldier. I can get through it. I wasn't going to go to counseling. When I went to the hospital after I overdosed on Benadryl, they prescribed me medication. And I said I refuse to take pills. I am not depressed. I kept telling myself that I'm not depressed. I'm not depressed. And I was in denial. I was really in denial, and I was afraid that people would think I was crazy because I was diagnosed with depression, or if I start taking these pills, that means that I'm crazy. And it's like, no, there's a problem, and you need to take the necessary steps in order to get better, in order to heal. So I finally decided to go to counseling. I was committed to that process, and I'm so glad that I went because I just gained coping skills. That's what it is. I gained a lot of coping skills. So when I am having bad days, going to counseling and taking medications, that's not going to make everything go away. It's not going to make everything go away. It teaches you how to cope. You have to learn how to cope, how to get through it. And that's what I learned. So that's my story. Valerie, I have a question for you. So you said that are you currently taking medication, or I can't hear you. Hold on.
You're on mute.
Her phone is on mute.
Okay, gotcha.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. I can hear you.
She have to take it off mute.
Yeah.
Look, we're all technologically challenged.
I got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
No, I'm not. I'm not currently on any medication. Currently, it's just a very regimented kind of approach to the daily life that keeps me from having spells and suffering. So it's just very, very much like regimented things. Like I have, like, you guys see that, like an affirmation board,
I love it.
every day telling myself, that you are beautiful. Having my health coach slash mentor to talk to on a weekly basis, and a checkup, kind of accountability coach too, because she just checks up and makes sure that my work is done and that I'm not just sitting around and just bumming out. I've been fortunate that since I've been home from working, not working a full-time job, kind of being home now, being an entrepreneur and working for myself, I've been fortunate to not really have any really spells. I can say that I've probably had one spell since I've been home by myself. And since that spell, I now have a life coach. I now do affirmations. I now journal. So, those steps have been taken, and it kind of helps. So, no, not now for medication. I think the goal is for me is to see what 2015 looks like the entire year. And if by this time, 2015, I feel that I need medication, then at that time I will do it.
Okay. So you journal, you do your affirmations. What else?
Yoga.
Yoga.
I
Okay.
try to do yoga when I'm not being lazy. So the ladies know I'm not gonna front like, yeah, I really be on this. Like, no. Sometimes they don't happen, but it's not like I'm so busy though working that I'm still not consumed. I still don't have these moments where I can just sit and kind of and wallow, and really think and allow myself to have these negative thoughts because I'm working. But I do try to do yoga at least 2 to 3 times a week. I do meditate all day though. So I meditate in the morning when I wake up. I meditate before I go to bed. And there are these things called wheel. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, wheel meditation. They're actually on
Yes.
IG. Like you can meditate for 1 minute. It's like this 1 minute meditation routine kind of that you do throughout your day. So I pretty much wheel a lot my entire day too. So meditation has been huge for me, and reading. Like I said, the Four Agreements. It's so funny because it's like a book, but it's really, if you really try your best to live by these four agreements, it really will eliminate so much drama from your lives. I don't know if you guys have read that book. If you have if you read it, if you weren't feeling it, I would say maybe read it one more time. I know that I would like to talk to women about depression and about suffering with depression, and I know one of the things I want to do with that is to kind of have like a book club where we read that book and kind of discuss it and how it relates to depression, because I think for someone that suffers with depression and anxiety, if you implement these four agreements in your life, it can literally help to shift and change your way of thinking, which ultimately for us who suffer with this illness, we really get trapped into I can't speak for you ladies, but I get trapped into my way of thinking. There becomes this point where I just negative think so much that I stop myself from doing everything. And that book eliminates that negative thinking. So, yeah, it works for me right now.
And you know what? I think too, it comes down to when it comes to dealing with depression and sadness, you have to do what you love.
Yes,
Like you said, you work from home now, right?
I do.
Okay, and that may not be for everybody. I work from home too. That may not be for everybody,
Amen.
but what I found, because when you're already dealing with depression on top of like the work drama, you got to deal with the people at work, you have all of these things in addition to depression. That it doesn't necessarily aid in your healing. You know what I mean? It's definitely, it's like when I was working and having to report to somebody every single day, just the stress of it. Like I could be fine when I get home, but going into that space, being around all of these people with different energies under one building, it was depressing for me. It was depressing for me. So once I stepped away from that, like yesterday, I was doing something. Oh, I was putting my desk together in my office at home. And like, I don't know, but like this feeling of happiness just came over me. And I'm like, oh, I was up jumping and dancing. And I just felt good because I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing what I love. This feels good. So that's another tip that I could give when it comes to like depression. Do what you love to do. If it's gardening, if it's singing, if it's dancing, if it's going to church, if it's participating in community activities, like whatever it is, do what you love and surround yourself with people that genuinely love you. If it's drama, get it out your life because that assists in your depression. It really
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Khadijah.
No, I definitely agree with you with the whole, the drama. And for me, like Valerie, I found journaling to be my best friend. And my story may be a little different. I'm a single mom of 4, and so I have an 18-year-old who's on his way to college. I have a 14-year-old who is a freshman, and then I have my 2 toddlers, Kai and Chloe. And yeah, so I have both ends, and they give me a run for my money, and it can be difficult at times. But again, journaling has been extremely helpful. Meditation in the morning, and for me, I usually journal 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's the time the Lord is like, okay, everybody else is asleep, everything else is quiet. And so that's the time he's usually speaking to me the most. And I just need that quiet time, that peace before I'm rushing into my day. Just take some time out to, I usually also go to morning prayer, starting at 5 a.m. Every first of the month. For me, that has been such it's been such a blessing, and just so much peace that comes with that, being around other like-minded women that struggle, with depression, anxiety, with whatever, certain illnesses, and we just come together and we just lay it on the altar and just have a moment of, if we feel like we need to cry. I lost my mom and sister last year suddenly to cancer, so the holiday season for me usually sucks, so I'm usually praying more and having quiet time more, because it's usually my level of depression always try to rises around this time. But I'm happy to say that it's been under control, and I know part of that, or most of that, has been because there's balance to my life. I'm being quiet now. I'm being still. I can't, things I can't control, I'm letting them go. I'm not worrying about it. Unnecessary drama, gotta go. I don't have time for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, Michael, I'm getting to you next. A lot of people, they speak that I'm depressed. They speak that, and then they become depressed, and then they're surrounding themselves around these people where it's just chaotic, that creates chaotic energy. You can't focus. Your mind it's just negativity. So, and I'm always telling people this, and people disagree with me, but when it comes to friends, family, if it's not for the betterment of you, you know what I mean? If your soul is not at peace, if your mind is not clear, if you cannot focus, that's right, Valerie, you gotta cut them off.
I love it.
You have to cut them off. And I'm in a space right now in my life where if it's not going to benefit me, if it's not gonna revive my spirit and keep me moving forward in the direction that I want to go, I'm cutting it. And it's that simple for me. For other people, they're like, oh, but this has been my friend for 10 years, for 15 years, or this is my family. And it's like, no. If it's not bringing you peace, let it go. Yeah. Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
So you guys, Michael is my cousin.
Oh.
Yes. And I rarely ever see her. So it's just so nice to see
we
her.
We didn't meet until we were I feel like I met you when I was like 15 or 16.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even meet for like ever and ever. And it was just like, you've been here this whole time? I had no clue.
Yeah. So Michael, what do you do when you're just having one of those days? What do you do?
I think in the past I would say I have a big imagination. So I like to fantasize about different things. And I think in the past it would just be like fantasizing about, okay, what do I want my life to be like? I joke about how I'm an obsessive compulsive lister. Like I make lists of everything. And so you'll see a list of like, okay, what do I want to achieve in 2014? And like, what do I want for my life? What are things that I like to do? Like trying to kind of figure out where I'm going, because I think sometimes when you're depressed, you just feel like you're just like lost in a fog and you don't know where you're going. You don't know. It's hard to orient yourself around other people. Like even sometimes when it's like not even just sad, like there were times when I was sad, but there were also times when I was just numb, and it was like I just don't feel anything. I'm not happy. I'm not angry. I just don't want to do anything. Like, can I just go to sleep for like 40 years and then wake up and everything's fine? Like that's just that was how I felt. Now I know that I need to force myself to get out of the house. When I'm really depressed, I can just lay in bed all day or read a book all day. And I love to read, don't get me wrong, but you probably shouldn't lay in the bed and read a book the entire day and not get up and move and do anything. But for me, one thing that was really that was kind of different was because, a lot of people say that they started to work out and that, help with their depression. I think for me, part of me working out was one, because I was just like putting on a whole bunch of weight, and I was like, look, this is not my body. But also, you know, it didn't help everything for me. I had hired a personal trainer. I worked out with him 5 days a week. Eventually gained down like 3 days a week, or I would go to yoga on my own, did all this stuff. I got to the point where I was going to hot yoga 4 or 5 times a week, and it was still really hard. I would leave and I would be really, really happy for maybe 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. But I would get home and be like, okay, I did that. I'm not doing anything else today. Like, we're done. It was like I have energy to go to this, and that's it. And I still would struggle with withdrawing from school, trying to force myself to go to class. I could force myself to go work out because my personal trainer was my friend, and I knew that if I didn't, he was going to call me and be like, what's going on? I could force myself to go to yoga because my yoga instructor was like my guru, and I love her. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go so I can see her. But after that, it was like anything that didn't have an immediate consequence, I didn't want to do. Working out and everything was great. It helped in some ways, but I was still really sad. I was still really depressed. Honestly, going on medication was like a last ditch effort. Like I didn't want to. I fought it. I tried journaling. I tried everything. All the alternatives. I tried meditation. I tried whatever, and kind of finding out that, okay, you're not only depressed, you also have ADD. It's not just one or the other, because they can look like each other, and you can look like maybe you have ADD and that's making you depressed, or you're depressed and maybe that's why you have ADD. It's both. Like I am fully aware now that it's both. Because, for example, right now, the medication I'm on and just where I am in life, I finally graduated college. It took me forever. Finally in a good, healthy place with my relationship, like with my boyfriend. It's like the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. All that stuff helped. But even with that, there were days where I was just like, I'm not getting out of bed today. I know I have a test in this class today. I'm not going. Not because I'm not ready for this test, but because I don't want to get up and get ready. Getting up, getting ready, eating breakfast, getting in the car, and driving 5 minutes to class, parking, and then walking 15 minutes. I can't do it today. I'm sorry, I just can't. And I would still have days like that. A lot less frequently, but I still had days like that until I went to, there's a place here called the Guidance Center. And you can go there if you don't have insurance, or if you do whatever, and they'll treat you. And I talked to a counselor. Her name was Pam. And talking to Pam was the most therapeutic thing I've ever done. She was so understanding and kind, and I hit it off with her immediately, and she just got it. Like everything I was telling her, she was like, I get it. And she listened. She didn't like cut me off and assume I'm going to go here with it, or I'm going to say this. She asked questions, and she listened, and she got where I was coming from. And when she asked me, do you want to just have therapy? Do you want to go on a medication? Do you want to maybe try both? I said, I'd honestly like to try both, because I tried everything else. And I had a teacher that kept telling me, he said, if you had diabetes, or if you had high blood pressure, or if you had cancer, would everyone tell you don't take medicine? Like, no, people wouldn't tell you that. They would be like, okay, you should probably try that. Yeah, try natural methods, but also no one would tell you don't take medicine for any other illness. He was like, depression's an illness. He's like, you go on medication, you don't have to be on it forever and ever. He was like, just maybe it'll get you to where you need to be, and then you can take it from there for yourself. Yeah. And after him telling me that, I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to try. And I was terrified I was going to have to go through a million different ones before they found something that worked for me. I thought it was going to make me more depressed. I thought all these things. And I went and talked to my nurse practitioner. She was really, really understanding. She listened. She listened to my symptoms. She listened to my fears about ADD and everything. And she prescribed me something that honestly just worked. I don't feel like I'm on a medication. I don't feel different. I don't feel like I'm on crack, like when people feel and take Adderall. I don't feel like that. I just feel like my normal self, but not so sad. Like, I don't feel drug happy. I feel naturally happy, but just not, it's not anything crazy. I still have ADD. It's still really, really bad. Meditation for me is so hard because my mind, like, I cannot focus. Like, it's so bad. But that's another thing for me to try to get help with later on, because like I said, I tried meditation. I tried all that. And getting my brain to stop moving is like, it is near impossible.
Yeah. No, you know what?
Oh, I was gonna say, so on my bad days, I make myself get up. I make myself go associate with my best friend. I make myself get out of the bed because that's the biggest thing. It's like just get up.
Yes,
You get up.
yes, yes. That's so true. Like the days when you don't feel like it, just force yourself to do it. Like getting up is the hardest part. You know what I mean? Getting up and getting out of the house, or getting up, clean the house, get up, cook yourself breakfast, like love yourself. Like just get up and just do it. And that's like the hardest part. Once you get up, it's a breeze from there.
And I always have to tell myself, this is not going to be nearly as bad as you feel like it's going to be right now. Like
Yeah.
your depressed self is like, this is going to be so hard. It's going to take such a long time. And I always have to remind myself, okay, remember last week when you said that about this and it took you 5 minutes and you were done? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it happened. So it's like I have to keep reminding myself, like, this really isn't that bad. Like, you're really being overdramatic and making this sound like it's going to be so much worse. Just get up and get started, and you'll be done in 15 minutes, and you'll be like, oh, okay. Because I think, you trick yourself into thinking everything's impossible, and nothing is.
Yeah.
But you trick yourself when you're depressed. You're just like, I can't do this. This is going to take forever. There's no point. I can't get around to this. No one's going to, what difference does it make?
Yeah. So I think it's about just changing our mindsets, programming our minds and just moving forward from there. Ladies, it is 9:08. We are a little bit over. I really want to do this again, especially since we've had all of these technical issues.
Right.
I would love to do this again. I think instead of third time, second time will definitely be a charm for us. I have some resources that I'm going to leave with you all, as well as for anybody else that's on this chat. It's actually on my website. So if you go to SASU Empowerment, SASSU Empowerment.com, I have a bunch of resources, different links. So if you're looking for a therapist in your area, if you're looking for a rape crisis center in your area, if you're looking for outreach center, whatever, I have tons of resources on my website. So definitely go there. And if you have any questions, hit me up on Facebook. My Facebook is JDean, Jay, last name is DAN. And then you can also find me on my SASU's fan page on Facebook. So it's SASSU. Ladies, do you want to share any more information? Anybody?
Oh, I'll be starting a a mentorship program in 2015, probably February 2015. And the goal basically is to get young high school girls who are now stepping into these emotions, who are wondering why they're so angry, don't know why they're so frustrated, don't know why they have like issues and why they're mad and why they want to fight. I just feel like a lot of these young ladies are living with depression and don't even know it yet. So just kind of like an outreach. So I'm on Facebook at Valerie M. Gardner. If you want to know more information, just send me your email, because I'm going to be sending out a mass email to everybody. I'm looking for volunteers to help with the mentees.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Khadijah?
She's muted.
Uh-oh, Khadijah.
She's muted.
You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
You can't hear you. There you go. Yep.
Okay. Like Valerie, just keep the positive affirmations around. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I see is I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. It's on a little, I have it right above my bed, hanging on my wall. And so that's that. I think it's just very, very important. I can't stress enough how I guess it is to feed yourself with something positive every day, because we have so much negativity coming at us. When we turn on the news, we see just negativity all around us. So the more positive that you feel yourself with, the less of that negativity that will try to, overtake you. Because dealing with depression is hard by itself. So just continue to just focus on what it is that you're trying to do, what it is you're trying to aim at, and just give it all you got. And yeah.
Thank you, Khadijah. Michael, you want to close us out?
Actually, I just thought of something really good.
Okay.
I think one thing that you put a lot of pressure on yourself or at least I do. You want to be perfect, and if it's not going to be perfect, if it's not going to be great, you maybe like for me, I don't want to do it. And the other day, I saw this really great quote from a book called East of Eden by John Steinbeck. It said, "And now that you do not have to be perfect, you can be good."
I love it.
I took that home. I was like, oh my gosh, just get up, just try, just do something. If you have a 3-item to-do list, if you do one of them, okay, great for you today. At least you did one of the things on your list. Just get up and try and remind yourself that it is never as hard as you think it's gonna be. It doesn't have to be that way. So.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, ladies. That is our time. I definitely want to do this again. So you shall hear from me. But thank you all. To those of you who are viewing us and watching this live Google Hangout, thank you so very much. And I hope that you are inspired and encouraged to continue moving forward, get the help that you need. Feed yourself all the good stuff. Love yourself, love on other people. And I will see you all soon.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, ladies.